Happy Thunder Giving, everybody. Welcome in to the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones here. And coming up on today's program, I'm going to tell you why SGA has got to be the MVP for a second straight year.
I'm Rylan Stiles. I'm going to tell you why the NBA Cup is working not just for the Thunder, but for the NBA.
I'm Jeremy Lamb. I'm going to talk about the importance of Caruso.
This is Locked On Thunder Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Thunder talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game, the way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Thunder Squad Show starts now.
What's good, everybody? Welcome in to the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones, Rylan Stiles, Jeremy Lamb in the house here with you. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday. And if you're enjoying a little break in the day, appreciate you thundering up with us and talking all things Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll start with SGA coming up in just a moment. But before we do that, guys, we want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, as today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's a Game Time partner of the Thunder Squad Show. All right, guys, let's get right to it. To begin today's program, we start with SGA. Another fantastic night last night. The flu game for him. 40 points on the night. Well, he was not feeling so well as he was a bit under the weather and still put up a fantastic game. And the T-Wolves gave the Thunder all they could handle. This was a back-and-forth contest throughout the evening last night, but the Thunder came through when it mattered most to improve to 18-1 on the season. A fantastic showing from the Thunder and from the SGA, the reigning MVP himself. And, you know, I look at this year, when I look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, guys, you know, there are about, I would say probably 3 or 4 guys right now that have a legitimate case for this NBA MVP discussion. And SGA is not playing in the fourth quarters like a lot of these guys are. And even with that, his numbers are still right up there with him. They could be better if they needed him in the fourth quarter of these games, but they haven't necessarily need him as far as that goes. And yet, look at the record. Look what he's doing here. To me, I still think, I've said in the past, he's the best player in the world. I think that this is still his MVP trophy to lose at this point. We'll start with Jeremy here. Jeremy, it's going to be competitive, but I don't know what more you need to see from SGA. Like, if he's not the MVP at this point, I think it's overvaluing statistics instead of reading into what actually is going on. What's actually going on is he's not playing in the fourth quarter of these games, and that's why his statistics aren't even better than what they are, and they're already really good.
Yeah, definitely. He's doing everything to make a case to be, the MVP again. But it's tough to think about the other players. I look at Cade, who, he got their team on top of the East. Jokic is averaging a triple-double. It just depends on what you focus on. Is it individual success or team success? At the end of the day, they're the best team in the NBA right now. So, if you value that, then he's definitely making a huge case to repeat as MVP. But there's some other people having some good seasons. I think it's kind of early right now to really say who's the actual MVP. But, for him to have 30 points, 16 out of the 19 game, or 30 plus 16 out of the 19 games, they only lost one game, and that's without J-Dub, and Lou Dort missed sometimes. Wiggins is still out. So yeah, it's hard to go, against SGA because he's just I don't know. He's doing whatever he wants on the court, no matter who's guarding him, no matter what team it is, home or away. So, you can't go wrong with him. But I think it's a little early. We'll see. We'll see how the season pan out.
The numbers for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so far in the 2025-26 campaign: 32.6 points per game, shooting about 54.8% from the field, 5 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. You compare that to a season ago, and his points per game is slightly down from 32.7 to 32.6. Rebounding the same at 5. Assists is a little bit up from 6.6 is where it's at now. It's at 6.4 a year ago. So, Rylan, with all that said, SGA's numbers pretty comparable to what they were a season ago, and yet he's playing about a minute less in these games compared to what he was a year ago as well. Averaged 34.2 minutes per game. He's averaging about 33.3. And the record, they won a lot of games last year. They're at a better pace now than they were. And without Jalen Williams here, I feel like the case is right there. Do you agree? Do you feel like he should be the number one contender right now?
Yeah, I think that when you look at this, I mean, you can't win the MVP award in November, but you can certainly lose it. And he's done everything possible to keep himself in the MVP conversation. And I think at the top of that list, when you're parsing through who it should be between him and Nikola Jokic and these other guys, like Shai has made himself a focal point, which is hard to do because as much as we appreciate the MVP award, it's frankly a narrative-driven award. Like, you have to have some storyline rooted into your case to be able to sway the voters because all these guys are going to have gaudy numbers. But for Shai in particular, to have a career high in assists per game, to be averaging 2.4 stocks per game and keeping this Thunder defense at a historic level, much less just the best defense in the league, they're doing it at a historic level without an all-defensive player, mind you, in this rotation. And not only have they not seen J-Dub play yet, they've missed multiple games from Caruso, from Chet Holmgren, from Lou Dort. These are all-world defenders that they're missing games from, and Shai being able to be an impact on that end as well has kept this Thunder team turning to an elite clip defensively. And then offensively, it speaks for itself what he does. A 40-point night against Minnesota, already a 55-point night on the season, and he scored 30 or more points in all but 3 games, and one of those 3 games was a 28-point night. He's the definition of consistent. He's the definition of an offensive engine, and carrying this team to an 18-1 record, that's your storyline. Like, yes, we expected Oklahoma City to be the best team in the NBA again. We expected them to go for their 3rd straight number 1 seed in the Western Conference, which in and of itself is historic. But to get there in these ways with all of these injuries and him being the constant who's played every single game, it gives him an inside lane to get this MVP award because of how great he's individually, how great his team is. And if you look at this team and what they're on pace to do win-wise, he'd be in the center of that. And that would, I think, put him over the top.
Jerry, we mentioned it could be a very competitive MVP race. It's not just SGA that's playing so well, but we mentioned Joker and some of these other guys that are having very good starts to the seasons themselves. Who, when you look around the league, who kind of stands out to you that could be in the MVP discussion and make things interesting on SGA here?
Yeah, I think Cade. I think Cade is
Cade Cunningham.
Cade Cunningham is making a case because they're number 1 in the East. When he plays, they win. They struggle without him. They played a couple games without him and they won, but it's a total different feel when he's on the court. So I think he could make it interesting. Obviously, Jokic is averaging a triple-double, and they're right on their heels right now. They got 4 losses. So I don't know. I would say maybe those 2, but definitely Cade, because if he, the impact he's had on that Pistons team is, historic. And I feel like what they're doing, is going unnoticed because OKC is so hot right now. But if anybody was going to make it interesting, I have to go with Cade Cunningham. I like his game on both ends of the floor as well, too. So, if anybody, it'll be him. But other than that, I don't think anybody is really rolling.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Cade Cunningham for a long time, dating back to his days at Oklahoma State. And now seeing what he's doing with the Pistons, best record in the Eastern Conference. Rylan will like this because I know he's a Royals guy. I've always called him the Bobby Witt Jr. of the NBA. And now we're seeing him take that next step forward. That's a great story there. Jokic, as mentioned. How about you, Rylan? Same question. Who's some of the contenders that catch your eye in this MVP discussion?
Yeah, I love Jeremy's point about Cade Cunningham as a guy who, again, is playing great individually, but has the narrative behind him as well of literally changing a franchise from the depths of the world to what they are today, top of the East. We talked about this wide open East in the preseason, but we also all predicted like Cleveland and New York to be at the top, and Detroit would funnel in there somewhere. Atlanta won the offseason, Orlando won the offseason, but now Detroit is by far playing at the best level in the East, and it's all rooted in Cade Cunningham's all-around impact, from him scoring the ball for 28 points per game to the 6 rebounds a night to the 9.3 assists per night. He's also making it a presence felt on the defensive end. But you look at the odds, and like coming into this year, it was all about Shai and Jokic, and for good reason. These are the two guys who've been jockeying for this award for now 3 straight seasons. So I think if anyone could disrupt the perceived 2-man race between Shai and Jokic, it would be Cade Cunningham or Luka Doncic. Like, if we know that Luka can put up amazing numbers, and he has put up amazing MVP caliber numbers. And if he drags this Lakers team right now, that again, we didn't expect them to be in the top seeds of the West. If they become the number 2 seed or 3 seed and they dethrone one of Denver or Houston, and this is like a legitimate stretch from them, it's going to all tie back into Luka, and Luka will have the star power, the numbers, and the stats to really sway some voters, and I think that he'll be in the mix as well.
Not to get too sidetracked and get too off topic, but I was thinking here with Joker and SGA being, the most recent MVPs and the battle they had last year, 7-game series, and now it seems like they're the favorites again for this, and there's a pretty good chance we'll see them meeting in the postseason. I know they play different positions, but Jeremy, could we be starting to see the beginning of a rivalry develop between SGA and Jokic, or maybe even just the Thunder and Nuggets big picture here? Do you think there's something brewing between these two sides?
I mean, it could be. I mean, they meet each other every year in the playoffs. Once you start losing to a team year after year, sometimes people get upset. So it could be, something brewing there, but I don't know. I think OKC really understands how to win now, and they're dominant. So they could, but I think the way their team is set up, they're literally forming a dynasty. And what a dynasty is when you're not only relying on one person. And they got so many different people that play both ends that don't care about anything other than winning. And when you got that formula, it's going to be hard for anybody to compete with them. So they probably got a little, I'll say hatred for each other. But at the end of the day, I think they really are dominant, and I don't think they'll go back and forth like Cleveland did with Golden State. Like that was like a true like head-to-head every year. They meeting in the finals. Who's going to win? You already know who's going to be in the finals. I don't think it would be like that, but I do think they definitely want to beat each other, and it's probably more on the Denver side because they've lost a couple years, whatever, lost MVP race, so it could be something there. But yeah, we just have to watch and see.
Rylan, real quick to you on that. Do you see something going on between whether it's those two individuals or the two franchises? Because I think there's a respect there between SGA and Joker, but that series itself got a little heated at times last year too.
Yeah, I think that there's for sure a rivalry between the two teams. They understand that like they are viewed upon as the two best teams in the West, and it really feels like we're on a collision course to getting these two to determine who's going to go to the NBA Finals and who's going to likely be the champion. And I think that they felt that last year. You look at what came out after the playoffs were over, and how Denver felt like they could have dethroned the champions had they been healthy. And Oklahoma City really credits that Denver series with getting them their first championship, of having their first real experience, having to play from behind in a series, having to play a player the caliber of Jokic and having to go win it and win that series. So I think that they're always going to be linked together in that way. And whenever you look at these two teams, whenever you're supposed to be the best in the West, each of you, and then you play each other, it's going to naturally become a rivalry. And another way it's going to become a rivalry, they played a 7-game series last year. Even for as dominant and as great as Oklahoma City is, I think that this is going to be a 6-7 game series again this year. And the more times you play these elongated series on top of seeing each other 4 times in the regular season every year as division rivals, it's just the sheer volume of games, iron sharpening iron against great teams, that you can't help but build up some sort of healthy animosity, healthy rivalry with the opposition.
Plenty more to come here on the Thunder Squad Show. On the other side, we will tell you about J-Dub, gets you the latest injury update, what Mark Daigneault had to say, and we'll react to that and more coming up in just a few moments. Stay with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Before we get that, folks, let's take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor. We continue here on the Thunder Squad Show, and we want to tell you about what's going on at FanDuel, folks. They got a great thing that they are offering right now, folks. You got to hear this. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones back here with you now alongside Rylan Stiles and Jeremy Lamb. Guys, let's shift gears now and talk about J-Dub. Jalen Williams got an update from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault, and he said the following. I'll read this to you. When it comes to his status, he is day-to-day, is doing a great job. There's so much more indivisible work that goes into a return to play that you guys don't get the opportunity to see, and we don't even get the opportunities. And then he added some more context. He said, I rolled in this morning getting ready for our staff meeting. I was walking to the back, and he's already there at whatever time it was, 8:15, getting his PT work in. He was on the court by 8:30. That's the work you have to put in day after day without the immediate care of playing when you're going through rehab. So, Rylan, let's start with you here. I mean, they're taking their time. There's no need to rush this. Sooner fans are familiar with the doctor he worked with, Dr. Shin, of all people, who worked on quarterback John Batir. But the way they've played, and it's still the regular season, there's just no need to rush this at all. Like, they're going to give him all the time he needs, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, they want to be very cautious with Jalen Williams, as they are with every single player. Like, this is not a team who ever brings anybody back on a minute restriction or on a load management situation. Like, they don't bring somebody back until they can handle their full load of their demands of their role. And with J-Dub, whenever Mark was asked about J-Dub yesterday, he was asked in the context of like the rehab process, and that's when he said day to day. However, we are, sitting here a week past the reevaluation date that was initially given for J-Dub with no new timetable. So it does feel like, it is a day-to-day situation. And it's a tricky thing to nail down of like, when is he going to feel good enough to play? But I will say, before that game against Minnesota, J-Dub went through his entire regular warm-up routine. There was nothing different about it. He does it the same way every time he's going to play in the game. Obviously, he didn't play last night, but he did it with the same group of coaches, the same group of players sharing the court with him. He did it working with both hands, and he was kind of not limited at all in that warm-up. So that's a good sign. How much of a good sign, we don't know. We haven't seen the injury report come out yet for tomorrow's game, but it does feel promising that, like, not only has Mark been praising his ability to attack this rehab, but it feels like it's going well. It feels like he's doing the work necessary to eventually, of course, make his return, and that will be a welcomed addition for this team.
Jeremy, let's get your perspective on this situation as a former player, how you can relate to this. How tough is it, Jeremy, for a guy like J-Dub, who is so good and does play a significant role for this team? How tough is it watching this team win without you? I mean, I know he's got to be happy for his guys, but like the mental side of it, like, man, they're doing fine without me. It's got to feel like a two-edged sword of sorts, I would imagine.
Yeah, at times you definitely want to be out there battling with your guys. You know, you never want them to lose, but you still want to feel like you're important to the team. So, but like you said, with him, you know, there's no reason to rush it. You don't want to come back too fast and then have like lingering injuries and stuff like that. So the fact that they're still doing great is good for him, because if he felt like he needed to rush or he really needed to come back, then he would already be back, and then it could be worse. So it's definitely hard being sidelined, but he's still on the side and cheering and happy for his team. So I think everyone knows how important he is to the team, not just offensively, but playmaking, defensively, rebounding. I mean, he does everything on the court for OKC. So yeah, he's probably getting a little antsy. And like you said, if he went through his whole workout and he's feeling good, he probably just trying to get his win back. And they telling him, like, you know, let's make sure everything's good, so when you come back, you know, you can get in rhythm faster. But it definitely is tough sitting on the side when you see your team taking charges and banged up after the game. Sometimes it's like you want to be in that battle with them, but long term, it's better for him to make sure he's healthy. And I know they're doing that over there with that great training staff and the coaches, making sure he's prepared to play. So yeah, I think he's going about it the right way, but he's definitely probably getting a little anxious and want to get on the court with his guys. But it's best for the team if he just makes sure that he's 100%.
Rylan, the financial implications, I'm sure you've already talked about this on your daily show, but kind of catch people up to speed. It sucks for Jaylen Williams, but it actually worked out pretty good for the Thunder when it comes to what they're saving because of him not being eligible for some things now.
Yeah, so unlike Chet Holmgren, J-Dub did have escalators in his contract for if you were to hit the postseason awards like All-NBA again, like any sort of individual award or an All-NBA, All-Defensive Team, all that kind of stuff. He would have had an escalator in his contract to bump him up to taking up more of the projected salary cap. So he was eligible to take up 30% of the cap if he were to make All Defensive or make All NBA or win Defensive Player of the Year or do any of those things. Now he's ineligible for those awards because he did not play 65 games in this season and he has no chance to get there anymore. So now he'll only make 25% of the cap, which is projected to be around $41.5 million next season. But it's really about the percentages when it comes to what each individual player is making. And so he's at 25%. And Chet's at 25% because Chet did not opt into any sort of escalators in his deal. So no matter if Chet makes an all-star, all-defensive, and all-NBA team, he doesn't get a bump at all. So neither one of these two youngsters will see their contracts rise. You'd much rather have J-Dub playing, and you'd much rather have J-Dub making these awards. But there is a sort of underlining situation here when it comes to managing your salary cap and managing your books, that J-Dub is not going to be eligible for these awards after he made them last year. And once you start to make these lists, it's easier and easier to get on them as long as you continue to do your part. He had a slight outside chance to get there anyway because of how many games he missed. Like, even if he would have played yesterday, in order to become eligible, they would have had to make the NBA Cup championship. And he had to play every single game from now until the end of the season, because the NBA Cup championship, it doesn't count for individual stats, but there is a loophole where it does count for the 65-game requirement rule. If you play the additional game, you still get the credit for the 65-game requirement rule, even though the stats from the game and the record for the teams doesn't count at all. So he still had that outside chance, but now that he's missed the Minnesota game.
For folks that don't know, just to add a context here real quick, Rylan, that is, if you make the NBA Cup championship an 83rd game of the regular season, but it's exclusive to the NBA Cup, does not count towards the regular season standings. But go ahead.
And now that he's missed the Minnesota game, he's officially out. There's no more ways he could become eligible. So no matter how great he is this season, and we all expect him to be great and be that level of player, he's not going to be able to make any of the individual awards in the postseason due to the NBA rules. So it does change what his salary looks like for the next season, and it does change a little bit of the math on like how the Thunder can navigate that.
You know, I look at J-Dub, and he has been the vocal guy for this Thunder team. Although SGA's been the best player, I think the one that people turn to as being like the spokesman for this team of sorts has been J-Dub, and he's not afraid to get in front of the microphone and kind of got the dog barking thing started with Nick Gallo and all that. That was all kind of led by him. And now, like, taking a step back, sure, his play hasn't been there on the floor, but he is such a good teammate and has still been a vocal guy. Jeremy, I would imagine that, I was thinking about this. There was an interview he did, Rylan, I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe you remember what game it was. He said something to the effect of, he reminded the audience, hey, ESPN, I still play basketball a week or two ago. But with that said, just because he's not on the floor doesn't mean he's not still impacting this team in some way, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of the leaders on the team. So, yeah, it's just him having his presence there is huge for some of the younger guys, because the teams I've played on, even at times, if your best player isn't playing, or a couple of your best players aren't playing, you still want to hear their advice. You want to hear their voice in the locker room and practice, on the planes, just whatever it is. So, like you said, he's a great teammate, and I'm pretty sure everybody respects his word and respects his advice. So, yeah, him just being there, even though he's not on the court, but still on the bench, cheering for his teammates, giving them advice. I see him sometimes talking to different people, because he's taking his knowledge that he's learned and able to give it to somebody else. So, like I said last week, they have a family environment, and when somebody in your family isn't always there, it feels different, but he's there. And I'm sure the coaches love that he's still there, cheering his teammates on. He's not over there upset that they're still doing good without him. Like, he knows how important he is to the team. And like I said, he got a big voice in the locker room, on the planes, on the bench, whatever it is. So, yeah, he can still make an impact, even though he might not be playing right now. He could definitely make an impact on his teammates and even the coaches. So, yeah, I think he's doing a great job with that.
Last thing before we take a quick break here on J-Dub. Rylan, what do you think it looks like for J-Dub when he returns as far as the lineup and the rotation of how he fits in? Does this change a whole lot, if anything at all, from the lineup and rotation we saw with him at the end of last year?
I think that the biggest change is that he gets some help now in the start of the second quarter and start of the fourth quarter lineup. So whenever Shai's on the bench, he has A.J. Mitchell now next to him, and you feel confident about those two guys playing off of one another. You still want J-Dub having the ball in his hands a lot and creating his own offense. But the fact that A.J. Mitchell can also set the table and bring the ball up and get them into some offensive actions, that's going to really take some of the burden off of J-Dub, who has really been the focal point of those secondary offenses. As far as the starting lineup goes, obviously something's going to have to change. Somebody has to move to the bench. I think that the starting lineup, though, will look like what we saw at the end of last year, where it's going to be Shai, Lou, J-Dub, and then Chet and Ihart rounding out that first five. And then from there, you can kind of stagger the guys on and off the court as quickly as you want to. But I think that his rotation in totality would just look like him being in the starting five. He gets pulled off the court. He starts the second quarter and starts the fourth quarters with Shai on the bench, and then he comes back in, around the 4-minute mark or something at the end of those two quarters, and then helps Shai close them out. So I think that that's kind of going to be his role still whenever he's back.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see how it all plays out here for the Oklahoma City Thunder when J-Dub eventually makes his return. Coming up on the other side, we are going to talk about the NBA Cup. The Thunder in great position. Last year, they made it all the way to the NBA Cup final and came up just short. This team is all in on the NBA Cup. We'll explain more coming up right here on the Thunder Squad Show. Thunder Squad Show continues, and we want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, and that is DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the unofficial on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. I love that it's not just food. You can get everything from snacks, drinks, to headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered. So next time someone goes off for 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus, your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only 50% off, up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Check it out today, and you will be glad you did. We continue here on the Thunder Squad Show. Tyler Jones, Rylan Stiles, and Jeremy Lamb back here with you. Now let's talk about the NBA Cup, guys. The Thunder's point differential, I believe, is plus 71 right now. They appear to be in very, very good shape when it comes to the NBA Cup. And Rylan, you told us off the top, you think the NBA Cup is working for the league right now. It seemed like when this thing started, it was kind of laughed at. People didn't take it seriously, like it felt manufactured of sorts. But now here we are, 3 years in, and there was discussions last night about how serious these players do take it. That there's extra money involved here. And for the Thunder, we know that they play defense harder than anybody else, that they give so much effort all the time. It's no surprise to me that this Thunder team is not backing down, that they're not taking this NBA Cup lightly, it seems. And I think last night was a good example of that.
Yeah, the Thunder are taking the NBA Cup extremely seriously yet again, and I think the entire league is as well. And that's where I think that it's working for the NBA because, for example, just as a comparison, they've tried a billion different all-star formats, and they all are terrible because the players don't execute them. They don't try, and they don't want to try in the all-star game anymore, and that's fine. And the NBA Cup, it could have been the same thing. If the players didn't care about these games, then this wouldn't be as fun. But because the players care, and they're really incentivized by the extra money, which is a big deal. I know that we laugh at like the top of the league guys. Like, yes, is Shai making $1 billion? Sure. But the money gets down to per player on the roster where you're looking at a guy like A.J. Mitchell, who's making $3 million a year, getting $500,000 is a big deal for him relative to the other players on the top of this roster. So it goes to everyone on the team per player. And so like the teams have really embraced the cash prize of it. It's also just a situation where the league can't lose. If you don't care about the cup, it still counts as a regular season game in the regular season standings up until the 83rd game, which is the NBA Cup game and the NBA Cup championship game. But if you do care about the cup, it's a fun way to have some competitive juices in the regular season. And these teams have taken that mantle and ran with it from the league. They have the new courts and they have the Vegas neutral site. And I think that there's going to become a time where like younger NBA fans are only going to know that the NBA Cup exists. They're not going to really remember life before the cup. And this will be a fun little part of their NBA basketball fandom. And that's what it's really about when you're looking at this working from a league level, from a Thunder level. I mean, from Shai last night talking about how much he wants to win the money to Isaiah Hartenstein glowing pregame and postgame about how much he loves the cup because it reminds him of what he grew up with the Euro leagues and how similarly the format is laid out to the Euro Cups that they do overseas. And he loves the fact that it is a neutral site, and he loves the fact that they're showing this to a broader audience and how spaced out the pool play is and the group stages are and the knockout stages are and how much it models that European model for what the basketball leagues over there do. And then the cup championship, of course, I think is a big deal. I think whenever you win it, yes, does it look funny when the Lakers are raising a NBA Cup championship banner next to a billion NBA championship banners? For now, it does, but eventually it'll just be kind of normalized. And so I think that the more we do this, the more it'll be fun. And so far, so good. And the Thunder right now, 3-0 in the NBA Cup in their group. They control their own destiny to win the group, but also they're a plus 71 in the point differential, and they only have to monitor Memphis in the Clippers in this situation. And when you look at those two teams, like Memphis is a plus 9 in the point differential. So you can do the math there. It'd take a heck of a loss to knock OKC out of the knockout round. For all intents and purposes, they've advanced to the knockout round. And if they beat the Suns, they win the pool. So it'll be a lot of fun to see how this plays out on Friday.
Yeah, the first year the Thunder were in the NBA Cup, they did not advance out of the group stage. And I remember at that time saying, okay, that's not what I expected, but you just moved on and life was okay. But I think it was kind of a growing experience. Like, hey, we got to be on our best every night, and then last year, of course, they go to the NBA Cup final. Chet Holmgren was not involved in that, and they ended up losing to Milwaukee. And now this year, we see how well they're doing with the point differential and how well the NBA Cup is going. Jeremy, I know that some fans are, kind of iffy on it, but I think in the case for the Thunder, I don't see anything but positives for the NBA Cup of what they've used it as a teaching tool and a growing experience. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I remember when they first told us that they was trying to have an in-season tournament. I was in Indiana, and we was making fun of it. Like, we was like, what? Like, we gonna be holding up what kind of trophy? Like, we want to win an NBA championship, not a NBA Cup. But 3 years ago or 4 years ago, when did it start? 3 years ago?
This is the third year, yeah.
Yeah, so it was super exciting. Like, it was like every game felt like a playoff game in season, and it was like, I don't know, it was exciting. But now I feel like it's not as exciting as it was 3 years ago. It's more of just people are competitive and stuff like that, and they know it's a regular season game. But I don't think people are like having goals to win, the NBA Cup. Like, if you lose, like you said earlier, it's like, all right, whatever. Like, we got bigger fish to fry. But if you win, it's like, oh, we won a cup. So I think it adds a little excitement, but I think it was more exciting a couple years ago. Whereas now, the courts, sometimes I look at them, they look cheesy.
Luka was complaining about the courts last
sometimes,
cheesy.
Some of the colors and the different schemes look good, but some of them is like, what kind of court is that? So I think it's exciting, but I think it's losing a little bit of its buzz. But again, everybody's competitive. Everybody wants to win. So when it come down to it, that final cup game, that will be exciting. In Vegas, everybody gonna have fun doing it. But if you lose, it's like whatever. I'm trying to win the championship.
I mean, to Jeremy's point, look at the two teams that have won it, the Lakers and the Bucks. What did they do in the postseasons that followed? Nothing. I mean, it had no bearing whatsoever as far as that goes. Did not give you any extra momentum or anything like that as far as that goes. But with that being said, like, you talk about these successes of it. The new TV contract that just started this year. Amazon, that was a big deal for them to get the rights to the NBA Cup semifinals and championship. That's going to be the premier thing for their entire TV package, is being the exclusive home for the semifinals and championship. That's a big deal in that sense. But for these teams and these players here, I think in Oklahoma City's case here, Rylan, we'll see whenever J-Dub comes back. We're talking about it last segment. But if they somehow got to the final or won this whole thing without J-Dub, I mean, this team seems pretty confident as is, but I think that could send kind of a message or a warning to the rest of the league if they can do that without J-Dub here.
Yeah, I mean, if they can find a way to continue this pace without Jaylen Williams, like that just shows the league what an embarrassment of riches OKC has, of just how much talent that they have. It doesn't really say anything about Jaylen himself, because like you would much prefer to be playing with Jaylen right now than without Jaylen, but it just shows that they're capable of making things work. And they're every team in the NBA and throughout NBA history has always talked about the next man up mentality. This is a team that can truly execute a next man up mentality and not see a massive, massive drop off comparatively to what their peers see. And I think that's a testament to these guys. Like you talk to these players in the locker room after the game, and you kind of like dance around the subject of like, is this kind of surprising to you that you're 18-1 right now without your second best player and without all these guys that have missed multiple games? And there's truly and honestly a acknowledgement of, I can see your point. However, for us, it's not surprising. And the fact that they're acknowledging that, like, yeah, it does sound crazy that I'm about to say that it's not surprising to us, but it is not surprising to us to have that level of trust and kind of equity built up with your teammates to where you feel like on any given night you should win regardless of the injury report. That's a different level of depth that this team has.
It's a great point. I got a little excited while Rylan was talking because Patrick Mahomes just threw a touchdown to Travis Kelce, but I digress. 14-7 lead for Kansas City into the first quarter for anyone else paying attention there. But when we look at the Thunder now, yeah,
let's go. We converted them. Let's go.
Yes, let's go. When you look at the Thunder in the NBA Cup and in this opportunity, we mentioned playing at a neutral site if you make the semifinals, and then and the championship, of course, would be in Vegas too. Jeremy, I know that we play the finals, of course, in home arenas, but it is a stage that the NBA has built up. Does that give you some type of experience, make you more comfortable, I guess, for the postseason, especially for younger players? Is there something to that of playing in a championship environment, even if it's technically an exhibition, if you want to call it that, in the NBA Cup, compared to what they're going for, the big prize? Is there something to that?
Yeah, I'll definitely say a neutral site is can help them because when you got home court advantage, you can always rely on your fans and a good home cooked meal. You're comfortable driving to the game. Like, it's so many elements to being at home, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, when you got to play on the road or a neutral site, it definitely can help you later in the season. And I just feel like the Thunder they're hungry. Like I feel like they want to win everything. Like Shai won every individual award last year. I'm pretty sure he want to put on his resume like, yeah, we won an NBA Cup as well. So, and I feel like everybody is like that on the team. So I think a neutral site definitely can help them. But just seeing how they're still hungry, how they still keep, their foot on their neck and they just keep pushing forward. That's the biggest thing for me. They could just be like, we won last year. Who cares about the cup? Or, who cares about MVP? But if you watch them play, it's like we still want to be all-stars. We want to win, and we want to win everything. They win in every statistical category. Like it's pretty incredible to see. So I applaud them for that.
Yeah. And to Jeremy's point, I mean, Mark has brought up the NBA Cup 3 different times, pre-finals, post-finals, and the start of this season, of how much that it helped them prepare for the championship round. And part of it was just like the stuff that, non-players, like I'm sure Jeremy thinks about this, but I didn't think about at first before Mark brought it up, was like going to the NBA Cup, there was a neutral site. And like, yes, the crowd didn't play a factor for or against you, so you had to kind of create your own energy. But his big point about it was the fact that they had a media day for NBA Cup championship round, and you had to go and like disrupt your practice, go to these different media stations and like redo media day and have all this attention on you from like NBA media who you don't see ever are just randomly asking you questions. And then you could flash forward to the finals. Between every game of the NBA Finals, you have to sit there and go to your podium and get swarmed by 50 million reporters asking you.
That's
some
a lot of
variations
dealing with Rylan Stiles, folks.
It is. Trust me, it was a lot, and the players were glad that the series ended. But when you look at the finals, like even down to that, like that's how much this Thunder team is thinking about how every tiny experience can shape their future. Like he was already telling the guys at the NBA Cup championship, get used to this because this is what it's like whenever you get to the finals and what you're going to have to deal with in the finals, and be prepared to have mixed into your routine. And it's not like a good or bad thing, but it's to Jeremy's point. Your routine is disrupted whenever that stuff happens, and you're going to have to battle through it and adjust to it. And getting that experience in the NBA Cup championship has left such an impression on them that they've talked about it 3 times after winning the actual thing.
And real quick, yeah, to your point, Rylan, that's how it was when I was in college. We played in the Maui Classic and we played in the Big East tournament. And we had media. It was a neutral site. It was a couple fans out there, but we had to create our own energy and stuff like that. And that helped us go through the tournament. After we won the Big East, it was like we've been here before. We not worried about who we got to play, where we got to play, whatever media. We was comfortable in uncomfortable environments, and it went a long way.
That's some great insights from both you guys. We got one more segment to get to on this special Turkey Day edition of the Thunder Squad show. Alex Caruso, he's got a warning for the young players on the Thunder roster. We'll tell you what he said, share our thoughts coming up in just a moment. Stay with us right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back, Thunder Squad show, as we continue. Rylan Stiles, Jeremy Lamb, Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for stopping by. Guys, let's talk Alex Caruso now. He issued kind of a warning to some of the younger players. He is the savvy, smart veteran of this bunch, one of the guys that they rely on. And this is what he said to his message to his younger teammates amid their 18-1 start the other day. Just trying to continue the consistency that we've got started this year. Obviously, we've gotten off to a great start, but there are still areas of improvement for us. And I think some of the teams we're playing coming up really push us, and we'll see if we're really committed to those things we talk about, which I think we are. But putting it into action and putting it into games is where it counts. I'm looking forward to having some of those games coming up. And that's amid the Thunder on a 10-game winning streak. So Jeremy, we'll start with you on this one. Alex Caruso, the veteran, saying all the right things, right? I mean, this is a team that is not content. They're not satisfied, and Caruso's pushing them even further here.
Yeah, that's huge. And like I was saying earlier, before we got on the show, for him to say that, it shows, one, that he's not content. Like, he wants to get the most out of this team. And he's been on some great teams. He's probably been on some bad teams, whatever it is, but the way that he's pushing the young guys and still letting them know, like, it's a lot of season left. You know, anybody can start great and then you can go on a 5-6 game losing streak and then be, where you don't want to be at the end. So for him to just bring notice to that and just let them know that he's been there, he has championship experience, not just with this team, but when he played with the Lakers, he's learned a lot from, a lot of great players in the league. LeBron has said how he's his favorite teammate. That doesn't happen by accident. He knows how to play. He only cares about winning. He makes the right play over and over again. He can guard 1 through 5. He's one of the most important people on the team. So when it's coming from him and he's letting them know, like, look, like I said, it's a lot of basketball left. Let's keep going, because he probably really does feel like, they could be something special, not just this year, but years to come. So for him to just, challenge them, and I'm sure they didn't take it no type of way. They probably, respected it. And, it gives you that, it put that battery in your back where you like, look, we can be great. Let's keep going. Especially you hear from him. It's like, okay, let's do it. So the fact that he brought it up after 18-1 start, it's pretty incredible, and it shows how their mental is just different over there, and that's why he's a huge part of the team.
I mean, Alex Caruso, Rylan, just kind of taking a step back, of this edition, we know what he meant to this team when it came to their postseason run last year, but the vocal presence, him getting into this whole thing with Mark Daigneault, knowing exactly what Mark Daigneault is looking for from his team. I mean, Alex Caruso is just an incredible fit and a great match for this team of not only just what he brings, but statements like that, getting the most out of everybody else too.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to write a feature story about him and just kind of his addition with what we're saying about him being a leader and him kind of having this coach on the floor presence of, like, Mark talking about how he's the guy that Mark knows, understands every situation, whether he's on the floor or on the bench. If he's on the bench, he's yelling out what's on the shot clock, what's on the game clock, how many timeouts we have left, what they're going to try to do out of this timeout. Like, he's trying to coach his teammates up. If he's on the floor, he's doing the same thing, getting them in the right spot. And so, like, you see all that whenever you're looking at this team on the floor in these games. But behind the scenes, he's also very comfortable in his own skin of, like, he's not trying to do too much. He's not trying to, be this guy who is imposing his will on this roster behind the scenes, but he's also willing to speak up and explain what he sees is going on, how he sees that they can adjust or just continue doing the same things that are doing right for them. And he's also just willing to take these young guys under his wing. And, like, the story that got brought up last year nonstop was about Caruso bringing his Lakers ring into the locker room and telling the story to this young team who none of them have even seen a championship ring in real life, getting to see one, getting to feel it, getting to know what the kind of sacrifice it took behind getting that ring. That kind of has been a rallying cry for them last year to go get their own. And every single player brought that story up from the time the season started on game one until the time the season ended, saying that they finally got their own ring, and Caruso has 2 now. Doesn't have to bring his Laker one into the facility anymore. It's like that message that Caruso sent meant a lot, and it shows that, 1, Caruso's willing to deliver those messages, but 2, this team is willing to receive those messages and implement them into what they're trying to attack and trying to do each and every day. So getting a leader like that who is wise beyond his years and also is the oldest player on this roster and can really help a young team, it's really like bringing the mom friend of the group into the mix. And so making sure you're making the right decisions every single day. So he's been a welcomed addition as a leader and obviously on the court.
Jeremy, when you were playing for the Thunder, you had some older guys that spoke some words of wisdom, that came through there. Like I think back to the veterans that Sam brought in, like the Derek Fishers or the Kendrick Perkinses of the world. What does having a guy like Caruso do for this type of team? And how would you relate it to some of the veterans you worked with?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I had some of the greatest vets, like you said, Derek Fisher, Karan Butler, Thabo Sefolosha, Nick Collison. Like they all just poured into me in terms of they wanted me to be as great as I could, and all the knowledge they had, whether it was on the court, off the court, how to practice, how to work out, like all of it, it was just so beneficial for me. So I feel like Caruso, he's somebody who he definitely gives it his all every night. So when he says something, you got to listen to it. He doesn't care if he has 0 points, 12 points, 2 minutes, 15 minutes. He doesn't care. So somebody like that, you definitely got to, learn from. Derek Fisher, I used to try to get up extra shots and he would come rebound for me. It was his 20th year in the league. And when I realized that, I'm like, he really wants me to be as great as I can, because he's 20 years in the league.
I'm sure he didn't need to do that either. You probably had the machine that shot the ball back to you.
Oh yeah, we had the gun, we had ball boys, we had everything. But he was like, nah, let me rebound. And he would rebound for me sometimes, and just little stuff like that. It lets you know, like, man, these vets really care, and they can help you if you listen. So yeah, it was that was a huge blessing for me. Having great vets is one of the most important things when you get in the league, because there's so many things coming at you, distractions. You got all these games. When I played 41 games in college and then jump right to 82 games, I didn't know how to take care of my body. I didn't realize I needed the cold tub. I remember one time I didn't want to ice, and Nick Collison was like, "Oh, okay. So you feel like tearing your ACL and not getting another contract?" I was like, "What?" So I'm like, man, I'm getting in the cold tub every day. They just taught me so many different things, not just on the court, but off the court. And it was a huge blessing for me.
I love that. That's really cool. Guys, we got just a little bit of time left. So I'm going to put you both on the spot. I didn't have this in the show notes, but I want to ask both of you. We'll start with Rylan here. Rylan, with it being Thanksgiving, what should Thunder fans be thankful for today?
Man, I think that you have to be thankful for SGA and just what he does as an individual, and also just taking a step back on today and as a reflection day, and looking at the fact that this team has been in this state, in this city since 2008. And in that relative short span, you've gotten the opportunity to see Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, SGA, Chris Paul. You've gotten the chance to see some of the best to ever play this sport play in your city, play for your team, and you've gotten to enjoy some of the peaks of their careers. You got to see Kevin and Russ's peak. You're getting to see Shai's peak right now. Not to mention Chet and J-Dub, and all these guys will be in the Hall of Fame as soon as their career ends. Like this is wild to think about. And you take a second and look at the other teams in the NBA and how many of them have existed far longer than Oklahoma City and have seen not even a fraction of the team success or individual greats that this franchise has seen. It's pretty impressive.
Jeremy, how about you? Thanksgiving, what should Thunder fans be thankful for?
I think Thunder fans should be thankful for Nick Collison behind the scenes. I know he's helping those guys. He's been on great teams in college, couldn't get over the hump. And I think he probably letting them know, like, y'all got something special, take advantage of it, because it doesn't come by every day. And he played a long time in the league and wasn't able to get over that hump. So I think they should be thankful for him, for sure, because I know he's helping not only the players, but the coaches, the front office. He got so much knowledge. I just used to pick his brain. So I'll be thankful for him. And real quick, somebody just said, does Caron Butler drink Mountain Dew nonstop? I'm gonna just answer that real quick. I don't know if he drinks Mountain Dew, but he definitely, instead of chewing gum during the games, he chews on bottle tops.
Really?
He
Man,
chews on
go together.
plastic bottle tops. And I'm like, why do you do that? He's like, I don't know. It feels good on my teeth. He would never chew gum. He'll chew bottle top. So I don't know if it was a Mountain Dew bottle top, but that's what
bizarre.
he used to like.
Yeah, that question coming from Adam. And Adam says, I'm thankful for all the Thunder content from Locked On. Well, thank you, Adam. Thanks for contributing and being part of today's show. That will about do it for us. Rylan, real quick, plug away. We're back here on Tuesday, but you're going to have plenty of content on the channel over the next few days.
Yeah, we're back together on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m., but you can look forward to tomorrow. We're talking with Joe Mazzato of the Oklahoman about the contender list against the OKC Thunder. We'll also have that night the recap of the Suns game, and then we have our Monday through Friday 30-minute show, plus after every single game, and then our 2 squad shows a week and our 2 live streams a week with Derek Parker. So a lot of podcasts on this feed, on this channel. So I appreciate all of you listening. Appreciate this show with Tyler and Jeremy as well. So it's been great.
Good stuff, guys.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate all of you for taking part of your holiday to spend with us, inviting us into your homes. We'll be back on Tuesday, same time, same place, 3:30 Central Time, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the Thunder Squad Show. For Rylan Stiles, Jeremy Lamb, I'm Tyler Jones. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.